Hey family, what's good? This is your girl, I am the Bronze Goddess, and I'm actually here today to do another strawberry letter. But before I get into today's video, I want to remind you guys about my brand new book. It's called Breaking the Man Code, The Key to Unlocking His Heart. You can purchase this book on Amazon.com, and you can also now download it in Kindle. This is an Amazon.com bestseller. Woo woo! So huge thank you to you guys for making that happen. Thank you so much for supporting the movement and of course supporting the book. So I'll be sure to link where you can purchase the book below so you guys can check that out. Now without any further ado, let's get started with today's video. Let's go get 'em. Please excuse my long letter, but I cannot compact this craziness that has happened. My heart is filled with so much sadness. 4 years ago, I met a wonderful man my freshman year of college. We dated throughout college, and on graduation day, he asked me to marry him. I was happy and excited to start the rest of my life with the man that I love. We both went to school in New York, but he was originally from Texas, so I never met any of his family or friends, but I heard nothing but many great things about them. 2 weeks after graduation, he flew me to Texas to meet his family. I hate his parents. His mom made remarks about me being too thick. She also said that her son usually goes for light-skinned girls. She also kept mentioning how her son was supposed to marry a beautiful light-skinned Nigerian girl she had already picked out for him. In private, she told me that she did not want to support the wedding because I'm not Nigerian or slim, and that would go against their culture. The only person worse than the mother is the father. I felt a very bad vibe from him the moment that I came to the house. The father kept looking at me, making passes at me while we were alone. He told me that I had a sexy body. He went so far as to say if he could marry me, that he would marry me and he would take care of me. I was extremely disgusted, but nervous to tell my fiance about how his father had sexually harassed me, but I mustered up the courage to let him know when we left Texas. My fiance was heartbroken and disgusted. He couldn't believe that his parents had treated me that way. The three of them got into a huge argument over the phone and stopped speaking for months. But can you believe my fiance proceeded to tell me that he'd like to hold off the engagement because he doesn't want his parents to be upset. He told me that we cannot have a wedding unless his parents are there, and that because his parents don't like me right now, we should just wait until they get over it. I was so upset, BG. His father darn near sexually assaulted me. His mother called me fat, and he's concerned with their feelings. To top it off, his parents don't like the fact that I'm not Nigerian. I'm actually from Ghana, which is still West African, and that he needs time to consider if he wants to marry someone outside of his culture. I'm not ready to say goodbye to my fiance, but I feel very uneasy with how he is so willing to put their needs above mine. He's going to be moving to New Jersey next month because of a job offer and wants me to come along. I told him that I needed to know that we were going to get married before I come. He got angry and said that if I loved him, I would follow him whether I knew the future or not, and that I should be understanding about how his parents feel about my appearance and my culture. All of his other girlfriends were Nigerian, tall and slim. I'm Ghanaian, short and extreme curves, LOL. I've always felt confident about my looks, but now I'm not so sure. What should I do? First of all, you need to continue to be confident about your looks. Nothing wrong with being short, dark-skinned, and thick.
Says the short, dark-skinned, thick life coach who's talking to you right now. Girl!
I feel like your fiance, at least in this particular situation, is not being understanding of your feelings. He's not being responsible. He's not being mature about the situation. His mother did all but call you fat by saying that you're thick. She doesn't like the fact that you're dark-skinned, so she doesn't approve of your appearance, doesn't approve of where you're from, she doesn't approve of you in general. That's bad enough. Then you got the father-in-law flirting with you, making advances towards you, just really being extremely inappropriate. And then your fiance is willing to put your marriage on hold because they don't approve. As long as they know that they're the only reason why you're not getting married, they're going to continue to withhold their blessing. So are you really willing to wait 6 months, 6 years, 60 years on their approval and their blessing? That's not fair to you. And any man that would ask you to do that is not really considering you or your feelings. He already asked you to marry him. You've already invested 4 years into him in this relationship. It's not fair that the only thing standing between you two having the life that you've always wanted is his parents, who have these old school, Willie Lynch-like ideas about light skin versus dark skin, and about these different, where he's from and where you're from. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not African. I am not directly from Africa. I'm African American. So I don't know if my people are from Ghana or Nigeria. I can't say that, so I don't know how important that is. But what I will say is, to think that somebody is better than somebody else because of skin tone, because they prefer her because she's light skinned and thin, as opposed to you being dark skinned and thick, that is shallow. That is a shallow reason. How do they know that that skinny, light-skinned girl has a better heart than you or can love their son better than you can? They don't even know that. So they're not even mature. Now I see where the son gets it from. Everybody in this situation is being selfish. You're the only one who's not being that way. But you're going to have to be a little bit selfish at this point and say, you know what? You said that you wanted to marry me. When we stand up to say our vows, they're going to say forsaking all others. Can you actually say those words? Can you ever get to the point where you can forsake your parents? The Bible says, for this reason a man shall leave his mother and his father's house and cleave to his wife. He doesn't look like the kind of man who can do that. So if you know that before you marry him, should you marry him? That's the bigger question. It's not all about him having the ability and him having all the power and you're powerless and you're waiting on him to decide. You have a decision to make. Do you really want to marry someone who has to ask his parents' permission first for everything that has to do with your marriage? As long as they know that their withholding their blessing will keep you two from getting married, they will continue to do so. You are not a Capulet and he is not a Montague. You are not star-crossed lovers. There is no reason why there should be this many obstacles standing between you and your mate. I feel like he's being extremely selfish. So how are you supposed to behave around the father-in-law knowing that he's trying to get at you? And the mother-in-law, knowing that she's giving you the side eye because she thinks there's so many other women better for her son. How does he expect you to feel in that situation? How would he feel if he met your family and your family thought he wasn't good enough? I feel like he's not doing enough to see it from your eyes, to see it with your lenses. He's only seeing himself. And selfishness does not work in any relationship, and it definitely doesn't work in a marriage. One of my biggest hesitations with this situation is the fact that if you do marry him, if he does go against them, he does marry him, who knows how they'll feel about your children, how they'll feel about their own grandchildren. If they end up looking just like you, if you end up having a dark-skinned little girl, and she ends up being shapely like you, how will they treat her? This is a bigger thing. Do you want to marry into this family? You have decisions to make. This isn't all about you saying, I wonder what he's gonna do, and you're waiting on him to decide like you have no power. You have plenty of power. You're the one who should be praying because you have big decisions to make. Do I want to be with the man who has to get his parents' permission before he does anything in our marriage? Do I want to marry people who think that dark-skinned people like myself aren't attractive? How will they make my future daughter feel? Do I really want to, it's a lot more to it than that. If I were you, I would be praying that God would touch all of their hearts. And that God would give me clarity about if I'm making a mistake. I completely understand why you'd be hesitant to want to end this relationship. Of course you love him, and of course you've already spent 4 years cultivating and nourishing and investing in this relationship. But if you can tell already before you even marry him that if he's ever your husband, you can see all these issues and all that you'd be marrying into, you actually can cut your losses. You are not stuck with him. You are not tied to this situation. If you realize this is not for you, cut your losses and leave. Do not compound the situation by moving with him to New Jersey and waiting on the parents to get their approval, which you may never get. People who already think that you're not beautiful, who may feel the exact same way about your future daughter, or your future son if they're dark skinned. Do you want to marry into this type of family? It's not just about him. It's about, you gotta look at all of it. The package as a whole. And I'm saying this because for me, one of the best things about marrying my husband was me being able to get my father-in-law as a bonus. My father-in-law is amazing. An incredible individual. I love him like I love my own dad. And I thought that was a bonus that I would be able to get his dad and his grandma and his mom. I was just like, oh, this is just the icing on the cake. I get the sexy fine man. But I also get you guys, thank you. It's a whole package. You gotta look at the future. What are Christmases going to be like? What other cultural differences will there be? And will that be an issue in the future about how you raise your children and where you guys do all these things? You have to look at the whole picture. This isn't just about him deciding when he's going to marry you. This is about you deciding if you still even want to marry him. And you have to pray about that. I would love to be able to give you that answer, but I can't. Only God can give you that answer. But what I will say is you have to weigh all of your options. You have to look into the future. They may never accept me. Am I willing to accept that for him? Do I think that he will ever be able to stand up to them for me? Do I think so? He can't do it now. Do I think that marriage will change him? You cannot alter a man at the altar. So who you date is who you marry. You're dating a man who cannot cut the cord from his parents. You'll marry the same man. Know that. You'll have to know that. Be aware of that. You can't claim that you didn't know when I'm telling you right now. You can already see these warning signs. You can see these red flags. Do you want to be married more than you want to be happy? Because you already see this is not going to make you happy. It's already not making you happy. What do you want more? To be married or to be happy? You're not stuck with him. If you want to walk away, you can walk away, but that is your decision. God can change this. God can change all of it. I would definitely pray about it. I'm not saying the situation is impossible, that they'll never come around, he'll never stand up for you. I'm not saying that because I don't know that. But what I am saying is, if you take the situation for as it is right now, if you married him tomorrow, this is what you'll be getting. Is this what you want, is what I'm asking. Alright, so that is pretty much it. Hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Be sure to thumbs up if you did. And if you haven't had the opportunities, be sure to check out my brand new book, Breaking the Man Code, The Key to Unlocking His Heart. It's available on Amazon and also on Kindle. And also, in case you want to join me on a weekend retreat this year, next year, we're going to be going to Nassau, Bahamas on a 4-day, 3-night cruise. I'll be sure to link my announcement video on the screen and also below in case you guys want to be a part of that. And if you want to see what we got into for High Heels, High Standards 2016 a couple of weeks ago, I'll also be sure to link my recap video on the screen and also below so you guys can check that out. So I love you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Till next time, later divas and dudes. This is Honey.